Thousands of South Korean protesters held candlelight vigil and marched through downtown Seoul against President Yoon Yeol. Now, the march has come a day after he declared martial law and then lifted it due to parliamentary vote. The streets of Seoul thronged with protesters and the police throughout the day as labor unions are calling for a general strike. And the opposition has demanded that Yoon should immediately step down and should face charges of insurrection. The President Yoon Yeol should step down, so the placards read as the protesters walked down Seoul's main avenue. The South Korea's opposition moved to impeach President Yoon Yeol after his bid to suspend civilian rule for the first time in over 4 decades plunged South Korea in deep turmoil and alarmed its very close allies. Now, the opposition holds a pretty large majority in the 300-member parliament and requires only a handful of defections from the president's party in order to secure the two-thirds majority that is needed to pass the motion.
정상적이고 합리적인 판단을 하기 어려운 상태로 보여집니다.
Now, Yoon interestingly cited the threat posed by North Korea and the anti-state forces in his late-night television statement as he declared the martial law. Now, about 280 soldiers supported by 24 helicopters landed in the parliament to secure the location. However, 190 legislators forced their way into the parliament to vote against the motion, defying soldiers with their rifles.
정상적인 대통령이 비정상적인 대통령 부인의 비정상적인 권력력을 비정상적으로 지켜주려다 비정상적인 수단을 쓰고 결국 비정상적으로 허망하게 쫓겨갔습니다.
All right, now to help make sense of what is happening at this moment in South Korea, we're joined by the Voice of America's correspondent, Bill Gallo, who's joining us from Seoul. Now, Bill, bring us up to speed with these extraordinary developments that are in fact unfolding at this moment in Seoul. What is driving this political churn that we are witnessing?
You know, it's been 24 hours since Yoon Yeol declared martial law, and to be completely honest with you, we still don't have very many answers about why Yoon did this. There's sort of great confusion about what his political calculation was for doing this, how he thought he could succeed, and where this all goes now is sort of unclear. As you've outlined, the opposition has begun impeachment proceedings. It's not clear that they will have enough votes, but as you also mentioned, they only need about 9 members of South Korea's ruling party to defect here. That seems possible. If that happens, this would then be thrown to the Constitutional Court, which would need to uphold that verdict. This process could take several weeks. In the meantime, we're likely to see lots more protests. Those protests are just sort of getting going here. You know, you saw a lot of the footage there of many South Koreans out on the streets tonight. These protests tend to get bigger at night. They tend to get bigger on the weekends, and they tend to build with time.
Right, now considering, the reasoning that was given by President Yoon as to why he decided to impose martial law, he cited the security threat by North Korea. Is that something that the people within South Korea or even the politicians within South Korea would agree with their president?
Not really. To be honest, I haven't seen many voices in South Korea who are expressing sympathy for the South Korean president's rationale here. Even South Korean conservative newspapers are quite critical of this rationale for doing this move. And now, it is completely within his legal right to be able to enact martial law. However, the justification he has used for doing that this was some sort of national existential crisis somewhere on the footing of some war footing or something like that, that is not being received very well tonight by very many quarters at all, I would say, even among many of his conservative allies.
Very interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Bill Gallo, the Voice of America correspondent there, for joining us and getting us that perspective. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.